Recognizes the lady from Lynn, Representative Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am standing here today in support of the 3% increase for many reasons. I will disclose the fact that I am a teacher, and so I have had firsthand knowledge of what's happening in the schools. I've taught for 29 years, and in the last 8 years I have seen some pretty devastating things to our students. In particular, some of our most at-risk students. We talk about wanting to increase programming and staff development for teachers with, to help kids with mental illness and mental problems in their school day, but without the funding, we won't be able to provide that. And these are some of the most important and things that we can do for our kids. We need to be rebuilding after years of loss, but we can't do that. At 3%, we can at least stay even for where we've been. We won't get any better and we won't get any worse, but 3% we will keep us just above water. My superintendent said that at 3% we would be able to maintain all of the FTEs or the staffing at the cost of their contracts this year for the 2018-2019 with no increase. So teachers are professionals. They go to school. Many of them have multiple degrees, yet they are often 20% is the average, less than other college students graduating at their pay. They are working second jobs. So at 3%, maybe they wouldn't have to hold that second job. Maybe they would make enough to just work the one and be able to produce creative, thoughtful lessons for their students. It would also provide that staff development that we need to help our most vulnerable students, that at-risk group, that ones with mental illness, ones that are displaying behaviors that are not conducive to learning. It would also help retain some teachers, because at this point we have many new teachers who after a couple of years realize they can't do this. They can't afford it. They're putting their own money into the classrooms, as Representative Steckman said up there. I was a recipient of Donors Choose because of what I teach. I needed some materials that the school simply couldn't afford. So I went to Donors Choose and I was awarded about $1,500 for equipment for my special ed kids. We need to treat teachers like they're professionals, the professionals that they are. 3% isn't enough, but it is a compromise. It is a way to make sure that we don't lose any more ground. We need to make sure that we can help our teachers, and to do that, we are helping our students. Our students are our number one priority. They should always be our number one priority, and you cannot do that if you are not keeping teachers in the schools, if we're constantly turning them over and starting over with novice teachers. We need to do better for our schools and our kids. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the lady, Representative Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. When we don't fund our schools at a level that allows schools to move forward in a more proactive way, the students are the ones that suffer the most, particularly the at-risk and low socioeconomic students. Shortchanging the public schools from receiving needed funding puts the students, or puts the schools on a defense rather than being proactive in dealing with the issues at hand. We're constantly in the schools putting out fires as they arise rather than having things put in place and ready to go to help these students with whatever concerns they might have. With the bigger class sizes, it makes it more difficult for the teachers to teach, particularly with the fact that we have so many students that are now coming to the schools with some kind of diagnosis of anxiety or depression. And actually a statistic here from April 24th in 2018, we had 2.6 million American children and adolescents in our schools that are diagnosed with anxiety or depression. And we do not have the services or the programs available to help them for that whole day that they're with us every day for 180 plus days. These kids, as Representative Masher said, are coming to school with more and more needs. They're food insecure, they're homeless, they're tired, they're abused, and some of those abuses I hope that nobody in here has ever had to endure. They are coming to school with post-traumatic stress disorder. We don't have the school psychologists or counselors available to help these students, and we're asking teachers to be on the front lines to deal with this, but we don't have the money to provide the training that they need to help these students. Ultimately, because of this, our kids are the ones that get shortchanged, and they're the ones that we're going to send off into the world ill-equipped to cope with some of the issues that they have. Year after year, these shortcomings take a huge toll, not just on the kids, who are the priority here, but because of those issues, it takes a toll on our teachers. Because our teachers are on the front line and they're ill-equipped to deal with these issues, they're having a hard time. Morale, as Representative Gaines said, is low. Many teachers are looking at other jobs, maybe moving on, and we need their expertise and their qualifications to help these students. Every time a teacher leaves education and we hire a new teacher, yes, they've been through the training, but they have not had the experience that many of the teachers that were there for 2, 3, 4, 5 years before they quit had, and were able to help those students at a better rate. I am disappointed with the 2.06. Yes, it is higher than it's been in the past during my career as a teacher, and the headlines will say that they got an increase. But it is not enough to cover everything that is expected of the educational professionals. I will be a no on this, not because I don't want our students to get this funding, but because it is not enough for what is needed in our educational buildings and classrooms. Thank you.